Okay, I'm going to do something rare here today. I am going to unblock somebody from my block list. So there is a person, their Instagram is MaggieEatsVegan. Typically when you're on my block list, it's because I don't want to see your content and you're on my page. But Vegan Anarchy posted one of her videos again and sort of iterated a point having a stitch against it. And I don't like really a non-abolitionist perspective of veganism. I don't like apologists. I really don't. I don't align very strongly with advocating for anything other than the push through and the direct desire to stop animals from having their throats slit, from having their faces bashed into the concrete, to exploit them, to have their children taken away from them. I just think that is a baseline for me. You know, I certainly do understand that there are complications, that people may have some such difficulties in building habituation, and consequently with some forms of eating disorders. There may be complications in food swaps, which make it much more difficult, and that everybody has to find ways to acclimate into new things and undergo gradual transition. And as long as the desire is there, that it will happen. I think that insofar that someone is in those criterion, I would be more accepting of a position that gradually approaches it. But where I take issue is when it's such that I have X, therefore I won't Y. When X is not such a remediating step, like I'm in desert island, therefore I need to eat, therefore hypothetical pig, hypothetical bacon. Those are circumstances in which, yes, on a value basis of sentience, killing that pig and eating it would certainly still be under the premise of survival. And I have a whole thing about like cannibalism at sea with something else where I was doing a little fun fact video or whatever, talking about cannibalism. I don't think I really finished it, but I could just pop it up there to say that, yeah, you know, in some such capacities where there is true necessity, I can understand taking a non-vegan action because veganism is as far as practical and possible. There is something here that says that it's okay, go vegan except for X. That's fine. And that we shouldn't shame people. That's not where I stand at all. Actually, I think my first video on this channel was, we need to be more shameful. We need to induce more shame. We need to. And I went through, at first I was like, okay, well, let me check Facebook and see what the original video actually said so I can quote it properly in my comment. And then when I was scrolling through, it's that we need to be nicer to non-vegans. And, you know, sort of coddle them more. Not coddle directly. It's the sentiment of the message. And it's just ludicrous to me. Vegan is isolating. I certainly do agree with that. Vegans that eat honey, not vegan. But it's certainly one of those contentious things just to say that. Veganism's not hard. Yeah, they're plant-based cultures. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff here that people... Oh, this is Michaela Pearson. She's a fucking... Yeah, this is the video I want to address first and foremost. So let me turn on the volume and let you guys hear it.
Want more people to go vegan in 2026, we have to stop being so purist.
No, I disagree with that fundamentally. That's it. We need your attention only on the victims in this situation. Yeah, go Josh Fit Vegan, for sure. You got me with go vegan except for cheese. Within a week, I don't want cheese anymore either. Yeah, and that's actually what made me unfollow. Go vegan except for cheese. The approach isn't such that there's an issue with transitioning. It's such that we promote half measures. You can say that while you transition into veganism, you may find difficulty. Find a way to acclimate that works best for you. That puts individual agency, and that still makes them responsible for their own actions. But it should never be some such case that we find that it is appropriate, and let me make sure I'm actually sharing my screen here too. I am. Okay, great. We should never be in some such case where we find it appropriate to put ourselves in a position where our language seems to approve of an action that we are morally against, for a lack of more succinct terminology. We can't really find ourselves any solid footing to declare that, oh, we all should be vegan, except for X, and Y, and Z, because it's hard. It should be, hey, we're all vegan because this is wrong. I think that given your value system that you told me, you should be vegan. Therefore, there's no contradiction. If someone says that, well, that's really difficult, you could acknowledge that. It is certainly difficult to get rid of habituation. Some people transition step by step, and along the way they ask questions and gradually get there. Perfectly reasonable verbiage. And I understand that there's a lot of, well, why are you being the language police? It's because if someone takes this out of context and says that, oh no, well, I can be vegan except for cheese, so I'm still vegan because that's what I interpreted that message as. You know, we certainly don't want to be the case where we go to a restaurant and they have vegan-friendly food, but the owner interprets it such that, oh, well, you know, it's just, someone said that it's okay if it's like made in the same factory, someone said it's okay if it like may contains, someone said it's okay if there's some indispensable amount that was just necessary for like the egg wash on a pie, but like all pie's ingredients are being minus that. And you know, then we get into the, well, this still requires animal exploitation, therefore it's not vegan, to which someone says that, well, technically doesn't everything, and then you get into some reduction into infinity where then you now have plants rights activists fucking going up in arms talking about hypothetical harm, and it's just a slippery slope in my opinion. And again, this is the great thing about my channel, VeGainism. My opinion gets to be as annoying and ludicrous and semantic and fucking stupid as I want, because I disagree with this quite heavily. Do you center people and center the victims? I agree harshly. I don't want to go vegan because cheese and chicken are my favorite foods. Yeah, you're being embodied in the comment section for that. Vegan for 10 years now, was a vegetarian for 4 years. I got yelled at that I'm not true vegan if I consume almond milk because I need to think of the bees. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with almond milk. There could be some such processes which otherwise could be more resource intensive, but then again, that's an issue with the inefficiency of some practice in some part of the world. If you made your own almond milk, then that would certainly be vegan. If you grew it from your own almond trees in your own heart, that would be vegan. If they're saying that there's something wrong with the production of it, let's say, for example, it necessitated some such harm to animals directly, as in on the conveyor belt, they need to have a cow step on almonds because their hoops are specially made in such a way that it crushes it to get the milk, then yeah, we'd be like, that's exploitation, that's fine. But this is not. This is just an anti-capitalism argument. One of the vegans, I love you, if you can be vegan, it can X, and then be X, is very non-confrontational. Yeah, people don't like to be confrontational. I don't give a fuck. I really, genuinely, sincerely do not. When it's about veganism, particularly. If it's about veganism, I don't buckle down. That's one of the few things that I am entirely confrontational about, because people can't defend it. And if they do, then they just go into laughing, or they go into hysterics, or they just go into some weird random thing where they're talking in circles, and I point out that that's wrong because of X, Y, and Z, and then it just ends up into them saying, oh, you're just repeating back what I said. And I said, yeah, because there's a contradiction there. Why don't you fix it? And they say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess I'm just a hypocrite. I'm like, okay, yeah, so why do I care about your opinion? But no, we have to stop being so purist. No, we don't. I really don't think that we do. I genuinely, sincerely do not think that we need to stop being quote-unquote so purist, especially when I don't think there'd be any other scenario where we have the victim not be the center of the crime. Like, if we're not trying to stop the perpetrators, and we're instead of focusing on the actions of the people who are doing X and Y and Z and not necessarily caring about victims, I don't think that bodes over very well. I just can't imagine any possible scenario where the victims don't matter as much as public perception of the person. It leads me to so many things where it's just nonsensical to not care about the people that you're advocating for. And by saying that, well, I do care about them, it's like saying, well, if, like, the only thing I can think of is probably going to piss off a lot of people, but actually I really don't care. It's my channel. I'll say what I want. If someone was to say, to the same effect that we have safaris where people can shoot a giraffe or a tiger in the face or the heart, or, you know, take its head as a trophy to save hundreds of thousands of other lions, then we're getting a reduction into utilitarianism, or like consequentialist utilitarianism, or some variant of it, in such a way that the logical extension of that is that to save an orphanage, we get to let rich people take knives out and hunt the children and then stab one to death and then keep its skull. Like, I don't think that would bode over well. And if it's saying that, oh, well, by not focusing on all of them, we're saving more of them, there's this utilitarian ethic, then it's going to immediately face moral contention. Like, that's where, to me, this sort of wraps up at. And I, again, don't agree. My issue is that vegans won't acknowledge the nutritional benefit of meat. There's no nutrient present in animals that isn't present through synthetic or plant means. Due to my adrenal insufficiency, I could literally pass away if I stop eating it. Do you think the healthcare system is going to provide me adequate access to a dietitian? I think not. Well, 1, they certainly will. 2, if you can't afford one, find one online. 3, there's no nutrient present in meat that you can't get through synthetic or dietary means. And if you want to complain and say that I could literally just die because of my adrenal insufficiency, so you need to allow me to torture animals for me to live. If it was such the case that we do not have every single vitamin, mineral, and nutrient from meat, and that adrenal insufficiency was a cause, then for sure, we sure could. However, that's not the case. My issue is abolitionists want to acknowledge the health benefit of slavery. Due to my arthritis and age, I could literally start up using my saving farm. Do you think the U.S. agriculture system is going to be adequate access to free ethical farm labor? I think not. Irrelevant. Veganism is about what you eat. True. Oh, who's Kayla Quitter? I think I might have this person blocked or something. You're right. We shouldn't put people down. No, that's true. But being vegan truly comes with an understanding how much work you cause. The awful truth that is unavoidable part of my situation. So when you express you're a very lovely person, but your behavior because of pure horror. Not every vegan has to say, but at least some of us must. Yeah, you guys can certainly do that. Absolutely. Everybody else can, different strokes for different folks. I don't think that's the right approach at all. But again, different strokes for different folks. I don't think that it's very apt to throw fake paint on people. My form of direct action is just cubes of truth and exposing people to slaughterhouse footage like what was done to me. I went to a concert, I saw vicious slaughterhouse footage, and as a result, I turned vegan. I think that works quite well for some people. Some people just like to go out and do outreach and hand out pamphlets, and some people like to post content online, and some people like to have a welfarist approach, or like this approach where you're more so, and I don't want to get strawmanned on how I'm saying this, that you're more towards advocating for veganism with half measures, and that it's fine to allow for individuals to be in perpetuity non-vegan as long as there's some gradual acclimation. It's sort of like I don't know, if someone is aware of veganism for 10 years, but they remain vegetarian, it's like the couple that's been engaged for 16 years. Everyone's just kind of like, pick a fucking side. Either get divorced, or separate, or get married, and just commit. If you know what you need to do, and you're waiting this long, I don't think your heart's really in it. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Are scared of us.
If people are scared of being told the truth, that's more telling of people.
People don't want to go vegan.
Murderers don't want to not murder people. Murderers do not want to stop committing murder. I could go on to even more heinous things, but I think we catch my drift here. Just because people don't want to do something doesn't mean that they are allowed to be removed from the morality of their actions and to be aware of the reality that they're perpetrating.
Because they think they will get yelled at or verbally attacked.
People often suffer more in the imaginations of their mind than they do in reality. If someone has some speculative qualm, then that's on them. That's on the thinker. I can't telepathically change people's perceptions and thoughts. I can enlighten them to the reality of their decisions, and then maybe they'll make some such change. But I mean, the same way that if you show somebody a small child getting a baseball bat to the forehead, and then they feel repulsed and sick to their stomach, and they want justice for some small child, you can't necessarily equate the same thing to somebody seeing a piglet getting a tire iron to the face, or a goat getting jumped on its chest by a fully grown man and making them feel some kind of discomfort. There is, at least in part, some form of indoctrination that's occurred societally It's because it's everywhere, and that it's a norm, that people are okay with the absolute removal and the consideration, morally speaking, for the worthiness of animals for that extension, despite knowing that logically it follows from the basis on which we grant humans moral consideration. So I really do find that it's ridiculous to assume that everyone is going to be, or that a majority of people are just scared of vegans. I could not imagine being scared of somebody who wants to end the plight, the suffering, and the exploitation ad infinitum of animals, because you're afraid that they might speak out against what you do. Like, again, a murderer might be scared to tell the police that he's murdering, or a murderer might be scared of seeing a cop because he knows he may be arrested. Yeah, the cop's going to point out what he's doing is wrong and that they should feel shame for their actions. And the only difference is murder is illegal. And unless there's heinous levels of animal cruelty, then in which case, instead of jail time, they'd likely face a substantial fine. But as long as you're doing it under the guise of food, then it's totally acceptable, which is crazy.
Like, people are quietly going plant-based, which
I've not seen that, but alright.
is amazing.
I don't agree with plant-based behavior because, in theory, that still allows for the exploitation of animals almost ad infinitum as well. You can still exploit them by putting them into circuses. You can still exploit them by using them as a means of transportation. You can still use them in any such capacity for fashion or accessories or any other means other than the dietary implication of not harming animals for sustenance.
I don't think we need labels.
I do, because it helps us delineate between people who have erected our value systems and who haven't. Labels are an integral part of language, and even if we were to just eschew them and not to label things, it certainly does have a lasting impact in, one, identity culture, two, even outside of things like identity culture or identity politics. It certainly does have a significance in the ability for people to relate to each other. And even if everyone were to eschew labels and we were to then eschew things like gender or the way that we categorize things, then everybody would have a difficulty with finding out who they identify with without someone who is otherwise going to be able to make a succinct and accurate depiction of somebody. If somebody says that I'm a bass guitarist, and I believe them to be a bass guitarist, and I tell somebody that, yeah, Johnny is a bass guitarist, and then I go to his concert and he's playing an electric guitar, and he's played electric guitar for his band for 17 years, and I say, I thought you said that you were a bass guitarist, and he says that, well, I'm a bass guitarist at home, but yeah, I guess I mostly play the electric guitar on my band, and that's actually how I make all my money, but I just want to be known as a bass guitarist. And then I hear him play his bass guitar, and he's not really played it that often, then yeah, I may have some reservations about calling him a bass guitarist. When all of your actions lead you to being categorically in a different area, it doesn't make sense on why you get to use a label that you don't fit. It's just a jarring experience for everybody. And certainly when some areas have a sufficiently high value on such a label. Like, for example, if I were to know somebody that said that they were also an abolitionist vegan, and they said that they had made us like food for an event that we were both going to, I wouldn't question, too far on, hey, what's this? Oh, I made us some vegan lasagna. I wouldn't really question about, okay, well, did they actually use real meat in this? I would just be very happy that they made something. And I would assume that, given my position, if I made us pumpkin muffins, they would know that I wouldn't use eggs or honey or anything of the like. And yeah, imagine my surprise if this abolitionist vegan decided that, oh, well, I just used a meat sauce. Like, I didn't buy any beef. It was just already in it. So, it shouldn't be an issue, right? Like, it's just like a little bit of meat. That certainly would be a conflict of my values based on the ascription of this label. Like, if you say one thing but your actions don't align with your values, then that's a clear conflict of interest for assuming the label. I think that labels are important. I think we don't need to be as stringent with some of them more than others. For example, when it comes to things like theology, I don't necessarily put too much credence into somebody who says that they're Catholic or Christian or Muslim, because people will sort of have some wiggle room there between, this sort of no true Scotsman fallacy and where they draw the line within that, because, there might be somebody who is, going to follow things very directly and of such a harsh sense that they don't do X and Y and Z and element of P as delineated by their theological interpretations, and based off of that, go about it. Or you might meet somebody who is of that faith that seems to commit every sin possible, but they just believe in that higher power. So, I think that certainly the in-group members of some community might have some stake or some issue with it, but I'm reminded of a video from Chris Diodes where he talks about this girl getting out of the car to pee on the side of the road, and this one old lady walks by and says, like, oh, she's not a real Christian. And, it's like, well, she's going to church, though. And, like, how many Christians don't even go to church? They just wear a little cross around their neck. I think that's a really good, no true Scotsman. Or, no real Christian would be doing what this young girl's doing, or, whatever, right? It's just, there certainly can be some arbitrariness to the ascriptions of some labels. And certainly, I think that's why I can understand, at least in part, that we don't need labels. I just think that we shouldn't eradicate them, or said that they don't matter, when very clearly they do. For things like nutrition facts panels, they're very important. But yeah, I think in the context of identity politics, labeling things certainly does get a lot of room for open interpretation.
And I love that. But if we want to expand and grow the vegan movement, we have to stop shaming people.
We don't have to do that even though you're clapping. I always see the take that I'm going to disagree with the most by the gesture, clapping, hands, and talking in cadence. It is one of those things that I feel like we sort of pantomime from seeing other people who have this sort of more abstract reasoning for things, or they'll get a little bit louder and kind of draw that forward and sort of lean into it and nod to try to have us supplicate agreeing with that via body language. I don't agree with that. After I take a sip of my energy drink, we will get into it.
If we want more people...
Okay, that was basically it. So no, I also don't agree with the fact that we need to stop shaming people. For example, when we're in an elevator, what's the one thing that you don't do? You don't fart in an elevator. Why? Because when someone does that, we shame them for it. We tell them that that's gross, that's disgusting, that you have no manners or no courtesy, and that you should feel ashamed for doing that. Now, obviously, if someone can't control that and they feel embarrassment and they profusely apologize, we understand that to be an accident. But if someone is in an elevator with their friend, and there's 4 old ladies standing behind them, and he farts at his friend and he laughs because he's like, oh, I broke a social norm, those old ladies are going to shame him, and in all actuality, if there's an authority figure that he, let's say a mother or a father is in the elevator with him, they might reprimand him and then shame him for his action, and he may feel guilt, he may apologize, and as a result of him being shamed, he may change his normative behavior to better align with social norms. As veganism becomes the norm more, it should be something that people feel shame for, and that's unnecessary animal exploitation. It's not coming from the position that we need to just attack people and just make them feel bad and that they aren't worthy of love or consideration. It's that they are doing an action that they would also deem to be shameful. They are unnecessarily doing horrendous things to animals via proxy, and they should realize that their own moral intuition is in alignment with that. This dissonance that is a result from them not living up to their own standards that they would put towards other people in having no discernible feelings of guilt for what they're doing despite acting otherwise shows that there's a disconnect there. Vegans act as a intermediate between saying, hey, why is there no disconnect here? That's bizarre. How do you not feel shameful for being the person that has put this animal in some such position that you're causing this? And then by showing them a video of a pig getting a bolt gun to the head or being gassed to death, or one of the very many X and Y and Z animals that are otherwise going to face horrendous suffering for the rest of their life, they may feel shamed by it. They may feel guilty that they're doing that. And that guilt will likely put them away from it. In fact, if I see any comments in here, it's going to be from people that says that, yeah, one of these things is that I had to change because I just couldn't do it anymore. They're living with that guilt and they feel shameful for it, so they made the switch to going vegan. Shame is a great motivator when used appropriately. Now, how do you define appropriately? Different strokes for different folks. Everyone has a different threshold for what they deem to be appropriate. And that's where the disconnect comes, because that's hazy logic to sort of go around. But it's not inconsistent to say that, someone might point out these things and package it in some such way that it seems non-confrontational. And that's totally acceptable, to be non-confrontational and just lay out facts, and to do so on a little featherless pillow and say that, yeah, here's what you're doing. I don't do that because I don't agree with that. I don't think you do either. What would it take for you to get there? Versus somebody else who says that, I can't believe that you do this video of terrible things here. How can you support that? Don't you feel sickened by the guilt? How do you have no heart? And, that might be much more caustic than the other person does. But those are both two methods of delivery. And people can say that, oh, well, clearly the latter is much more ineffective. But no, if someone would have just told me, hey, yeah, the pig had to die for that pork chop you're having, or, how many chickens had to die for those nuggets that you're eating, I would hear those words and I would understand it. But until I'm faced with it, and then having somebody say that what I'm doing isn't succulent, tasty, or kind, it's murder, I had to make that connection. And I went, oh, well, yeah, that is really sort of strange, and that really is something I'm not in line with. I do need to find a solution to bridge how terrible I am and how I can be remediating that and living in better value alignment as a result of it. So, no, I don't think we need to stop shaming people. This one, Maggie, is just actually kind of funny to me. When you order the vegan salad on the menu and discover there's dressing as honey, I've only ordered a salad from a restaurant, I believe, probably less than 9 times in the 10 plus years I've been vegan, because unless it sounds really appetizing, I will never forget. So there was a seitan, it was seitan, cranberries, and walnuts, and some microgreens salad, and it was only $11, which, I don't know, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago. That was kind of a steal, because I'm so used to oh, we have a chef salad, and you can order without the chicken, and it's only $17, or it's only $15, or it's only $8. And I'm like, this is basically going to be iceberg lettuce, some shredded carrots, and some stuff I can get from a little bag in Walmart for $2, and I got to sit here and eat that and have no calories. Back when I used to drink, I'd just give me 3 beers and I'll call it a day. Or I'd be like, oh, let me just get some sweet potato fries and call it a day or something, right? So, I already don't like the fact that some places only offer a salad as their vegan option, but getting honey in it and you're just like, fuck, I can't even have this. Hey, can you please return this? There's honey in that. It's not vegan. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where you're like, well, I guess I'm having nothing for dinner until I go home. That would suck. I do agree with that hypothetical situation. Burger King's onion rings are accidentally vegan. If that's the case, sign me the fuck up. I love onion rings. That shit is baller. What supplement should you take on a vegan diet? Someone's going to say B12, someone's going to say vitamin D3, K2, MK7, lichen-derived B3. Somebody's probably going to say something along iron. Not really necessary if you have non-heme iron, vitamin C foods, but that could probably be one of them. Vitamin E, possibly, depending on how someone's going to get their mixed calciferols. I would imagine there's probably also something along the lines of some very weird niche trace minerals. What's something else people usually say? Actually.
Supplementing on a vegan diet, what do you absolutely need?
Oh, ALA, yeah, omega-3. No, just get some flaxseed oil or some chia seeds or both. Actually, just get both. Like chia seeds, you can chunk them in a smoothie. You can put them on top of a salad that you make at home, not from a restaurant. It's not the worst thing in the world. You can also have like chia seed pudding. That's kind of gross though. I don't recommend it. You can just throw it in like your oats and it's fine. Especially if you make protein and you really don't notice it, and it's a little extra protein and it's a lot of fiber.
And what do I personally take as a vegan of 14 years? B12.
Yep. Me too. B12.
B12 is absolutely necessary for a vegan diet. You have to supplement it. You cannot get it from plant-based food. And
I'll just agree with that generally and say that you probably aren't getting as much as you could unless you specifically pick foods that are richly fortified with B12 and a sufficient amount in your diet and you have good GI health.
actually, it's good for meat eaters to supplement as well.
I always love that people check this in here too because, yeah, we're not the only ones. You also need B12 because you don't get it as well either. Intrinsic factor, haptocorn, and everything else on the sun.
Well, because a lot of people are deficient. I take the gummy version, but I used to take the spray, so you can take whatever you prefer. And then
I agree with that, and also just a small side note, your nails and your little henna hand tattoo thingies, I don't know what they are, but they're cool as fuck.
I got my blood work done recently. It showed I was low in iron.
Yeah, that's actually pretty likely to happen. That's why I also talked about non-heme iron sources being paired with vitamin C. It's more typical in women. I'm going to assume that you would prefer the pronouns for a woman. If not, you can correct me and say they, them, and be non-binary. I will gladly make adjustments where that is needed. But anyone who has a menses, the menstrual cycle, they're going to typically be much lower in that, and it's because of the bleeding, but also if you're highly active. So if you run a lot, the striking force from your heel is also going to cause some platelet disruption, and as a result of that, you actually might be lower in iron. Also, of note too, precocious anemia might also be something that you could be masking if you have high levels of other B vitamins, and it's masking B12, which is going to be one of the things that could be a cause of precocious anemia, just not iron deficient anemia. That's also something to be wary of too. If you're more concerned about just anemia-like symptoms, like brittle hair or lethargy or anything else in that as well. So if you're taking B12, you're taking other forms of that as well. I don't ever imagine everybody's going to have their methylation genes and everything else checked out, but that is one thing you could do too. You can also take SAM-E, as there's another thing that you can do to help potentially offset that as well. But again, that's just a random, generic, unsolicited piece of advice.
I have increased my iron-rich foods, so you always want to do that first, but it doesn't help to take a supplement.
Doesn't it? Oh, I also love that you love Deva. Hold on a minute here. Let me get my... Yeah, anyway. Yeah, Deva. I don't know if you know this or if you've been gaining that long, but about 7 or 8 years ago, they used to have a different label. They recently changed to this, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Right around like the 2018-2020 timeline. Because they used to also have one that was a multivitamin that was rich in some other things in their prenatal form that I liked because it had some specific nutrients, like molybdenum, the M1, that's like kind of niche, that I noticed my other one was a little bit lower in. It also had a decent amount of iron in it. So they were on special. Yeah, I could get 2 of them for like $11. So I got the prenatal ones for a little bit. And then these ones went down in price. And when I got the multivitamins with greens, yeah, it was one daily. It was a bit cheaper, so I got those. I love Deva. Deva's a great brand.
If you are really low or kind of teetering on that line. So I take iron with vitamin C.
Go Maggie, you rock.
To help with absorption. And then lastly, I also take a vegan omega-3 supplement because
algae oil, yeah, that's a great one.
My omega-3s were low when I got my blood work. Flax, chia seeds, walnuts are great.
Walnuts are delicious. They look like brains because they're good for your brains. Not really how that works, but that's a fun way to imagine it.
Sources of omega-3s, but I just take this for a little extra to make sure I'm good. And when
that's awesome.
You're buying supplements online or in store, always make sure it either says vegan on the bottle or in the description on the website.
Yeah, so that's actually a fantastic point for Maggie to bring up. I would say is that they oftentimes may have all vegan ingredients excluding the capsules. So One of the things that you can see is that instead of like a methylcellulose capsule, they may have gelatin. Or they may have a methylcellulose capsule and say vegetarian. But then there could be some ingredients that are sourced from duck feathers. There could be some that are made from horsehair. There could be vitamin D3, which is cholecalciferol, which comes from lanolin, which is from sheep's wool. So it's always very important to make sure you know what you're getting and where you're getting it. If it says D3 and it's not from lichen, make sure it says vegan D3 specifically. Otherwise, you could be unassumingly consuming animal products.
There are also some great vegan multivitamins out there, like Ritual and Hippo 7. If you don't want to take a bunch of different supplements, you can take one vegan multivitamin daily. But again, you can absolutely get all the nutrients you need except for B12.
Technically untrue, but it is very unreasonable to assume most people would. So I would agree with this generalized statement, because even if you are getting the daily recommended intake that should make it so that you don't, you could have methylation issues, you could have factors that harm absorption. It's better to go over on B12 because there's not really a downside to having extra
on a plant-based diet. So if you're eating plenty of whole foods and a variety of foods, you should be good, but always talk to your doctor and get your blood work tested to make sure. Oh.
No, I understand. Come and do that. Yep, do the menstruation. Yeah, go exactly, Ray Gavin.
And I should.
Choline tends to be lower on a vegan diet. See, I wouldn't even thought about that because I take an alpha GPC. Alpha phosphoglycerylcholine. Oh my gosh, I flubbed that one like 3 different times. But no, alpha GPC, I have a blog post on it on howeyoursupplementworks.com if you want to learn more about it. It's the most bioavailable form of choline that goes to your brain. And you know, you can have acetylcholine, you can have choline bitartrate. Most supplements are going to be choline bitartrate. But yeah, vegans might be lower in it because they don't have eggs, they don't have any of those other foods.
I should mention that there are some plant-based foods that are fortified with B12, like nutritional yeast, breakfast cereal, and non-dairy milk. So it is possible to get everything without taking a supplement.
Yeah, there you go. So she even addressed that. Go, Maggie. You're just an animal abuser. Your hormones when you stop being vegan. There's nothing inherently different about that. If anything, you're just kind of a fucking jerk. And this is one of the things I actually commented on because I was fucking super stoked. It's gas. I get one every time I go to DQ. That's true. Anytime we make a little pit stop, instead of getting like a Julius with my mom, I get a non-dairy vegan deli bar. That shit fucks. It's a little coconutty, and it's got that little, well, you'll see it. It's got the little crumble, and it doesn't fall apart in your lap. The Dairy Queen non-dairy deli bars fuck. Things non-vegans do that are weird. Drink cow's milk, but are scared of soy milk. True. Say vegan use processed, but eat hot dogs and bologna. Very true. Say it's too expensive, but buy a $7 latte every morning. Very true. Say vegan food is boring, but cook the same 3 meals on repeat. I've been vegan for over a decade. Yeah, this is tofu, this is rice, this is garlic, this is onion, and a little veggie stock. And I have this, maybe some pepper stir fry in there, at least 4 times a week. It is delicious. If there was only one meal I would have, it would certainly be a pound of frozen stir-fry veggies and a brick of tofu, extra firm, and then onions, garlic, olive oil in a pan, fried for like 5 minutes, and then put in this delicious bowl with hot sauce and steak sauce. Just what I like. Yeah, I certainly do enjoy the same 3 meals, but I do vary it up a little bit because I do have to have some variance in my diet. Otherwise, I would be only relying on my series of supplements that I keep everywhere. Vegan breakfast at Taco Bell. Let's see this.
You can't get vegan breakfast at Taco Bell. Oh, really? Watch me. This is the cheesy potato breakfast
Fresco
burrito. You're going to order it Fresco style and remove the egg because Fresco style doesn't remove the egg. So remember that.
Rated.
Add beans. Add guacamole.
Okay. Add guacamole. I'm not making money here, Maggie. I got a hash brown. They have hash browns?
I also got a hash brown.
I will follow you solely because you just told me the fact that Taco Bell has fucking hash browns. I didn't know that.
Because they're vegan friendly. And breakfast salsa. Any excuse to eat the breakfast salsa. This is thick. All right, let's try it. Adding the breakfast salsa.
Perfect. Yeah, see, this is the kind of shit that I saw originally that made me like the page, and then the whole X, Y, and Z and element of P.
Come on, you have to believe me. Please. You have to believe me.
Girl, that plate of red meat you have, that's a group 2 carcinogen.
Factually true.
Meaning it probably causes cancer.
Factually true.
You know what doesn't cause cancer and actually can reverse and prevent chronic disease? Vegetables.
Yeah.
Plants.
Most of them. Wow. Zodiac theme grand. Oh, whoa.
Let's eat some
Whoa. What's the Capricorn burger? This is not far from me.
vegan comfort food. This is from Go Vegan GR, downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's a Zodiac themed vegan restaurant. 10 out of 10. And I can't forget the cake.
Cajun fries are just elite. If they weren't so expensive everywhere, like an extra $4, I'd have a lot more Cajun fries than sweet potato fries, and it'd just be the end of me. I like sweet potato fries, like, a lot. But, you know, sweet potato fries are like A tier. Fries, like waffle fries, A tier. Like, hear me out, curly fries, like B tier, B plus tier. Like spicy curly fries, A tier. Crinkle cut, C tier. Might catch a lot of fire for this. Like steak cut fries, like the thick wedged ones. Like, I like JoJo's, but like the thick wedge with steak fries, F tier, dog shit, can't explain it, F tier, trash, garbage, disgusting. But Cajun fries are like S plus tier, triple S tier, super stylish, sick combo, S tier. Dante, aerial dive, stinger, double jump, pistol combo, hack/dive combo, elite.
Cajun fries. And last up is the Capricorn chicken sandwich. This has vegan chicken, bacon, and cheese with a side of onion rings. My boyfriend's a Capricorn, and this is definitely his kind of meal. Let me try that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this shit is fucking baller. Fucking Capricorn burger, banging. Onion rings too, elite. Let's go.
Onion rings first. This is how I remember onion rings.
I guarantee it's fucking gas.
Like, you got the actual
Onion sticking out?
onion sticking out, and
You lose half of it and then you
perfectly
still husk at the
crispy.
end. That's so good. I can just tell. Amazing.
9 out of 10. This spot is...
I got less than a Gemini burger. Yeah, that's fair. That Gemini burger did look really good. Fair enough. Alright, I'll try that place out. Things pure vegans would probably judge me for. Having a non-vegan boyfriend. No, I have a non-vegan boyfriend. He is vegetarian with some positions that make it more difficult, but we gradually find swaps that are food safe for him. We work very diligently on making sure that there's comfortable acclimation into new things, and he fundamentally understands why it's bad, and he does feel, quite bad about consuming animal products and doesn't really want to. It's one of those things where the habituation and food comfort and safety, given the... I'm not going to go through everyone's things, but it's certainly one of the things where I try very ardently to find suitable solutions that hit the spot well, and we've very safely, over the course of quite a while, found very many suitable solutions. Now I'll make this pasta the way that you make it, because I really enjoy it, and I had that today, and I had these, and I took my supplements, and I took my vitamins, and I only really had some of these. I went from having milk all the time to now I have almond milk, and I remember what you told me about almond milk and how it might be a bit more difficult for calories and X, Y, and Z, so I really like oat milk. It's very similar. We do that, and no, I don't think that inherently it's the worst thing in the world, but I mean, it'd be different if you were just placating somebody and not pointing out that it is fundamentally wrong to do so, and then if you didn't support their gradual change, however slow or fast it may be, and give them the push that they need for it, then yeah, certainly it would be an issue. So I don't find anything in there. But yeah, if that makes me not a real abolitionist because I'm siding with the enemy, okay, I fully understand. eating at fast food restaurants with cross-contamination. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's too big of an ask to tell them to clean the grill. You say, oh, okay, yeah, well, can you just make sure that you clean the grill before you serve that to me? If they say no, okay, if you don't want to do that for your customer, then I won't purchase from them. If they say, yeah, sure, that's fine, it'll probably be like another 10 minutes for your food specifically, though. Okay, I can wait. I mean, I'm already going to be sitting down in this restaurant to begin with. If it's an extra 10 minutes for me, I'll have some water, or I'll have some pop, and I'll just sit here and chat with people, and, maybe it's a bit inconvenient for others, but I tell people, you can eat until I do. I was always raised that, when the last person gets their plate, then you start eating just out of courtesy. And I know other people will be like, no, it makes me feel bad. Like, don't wait for me. Like, no, I don't mind. Give us an opportunity to talk. I just don't want to eat while you're sitting there waiting. But yeah, if other people do that, then thank you for waiting. That's very kind of you. It's very polite. But I do know some people like their food hot, and that's why I tell people, it's just for me. Don't worry. We'll yap while you eat and everything, and I'll just wait a little bit. It's okay. But yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask them to make your food separately. If they say no, just don't eat there. I think it's perfectly fine. If they want to be inconvenienced, maybe they need to get a second grill. If everyone keeps doing that. So why do people going mostly plant-based? No, I don't. I don't think you should ever shift the goalpost away from veganism. I think that if anything, again, like I said earlier, like I said when I was telling you about the first position, not going mostly plant-based. Just encourage them to continue to try for gradual change. Again, not very many people, when confronted with the idea of veganism, immediately upon hearing a logical resolution to their position, gone immediately vegan. Now, here's the thing. When I decided, okay, I will go vegan, it went from when I saw Morrissey in June in Akron Civic Theater to the end of December of that year. During that time, I was like, okay, well, I saw that. It's awful. What am I going to do? And then, I started watching Vegan Gains. I started seeing people like Freely, which, shout out to Freely. I remember seeing a lot of her, a lot of Vegan Gains. Mike the Vegan was one. Back when I used to listen to nutritionfacts.org before I realized he was okay with just being plant-based and not vegan, that I started to push away from a lot of that, but I did get a lot of valuable information out of the channel. Once I'd gone through those, I took in a lot of information, and then I took my brother's wife, now wife, they were dating at the time, she was a pescatarian, still is. She said, I hate it when the fish still have the fins on it. It reminds me that they were alive. I was having chicken teriyaki on a stick at a Chinese restaurant, and I felt really grossed out by the fact that, well, I know what this is, and it's a chicken, and they're pretty stupid, but I think they're kind of cute. I'm kind of a monster, so, I just kind of quit eating that, and then I just got some rice and these little, tofu with, it's like a little tofu wrap, and it's got the rice in it, and it has, the little seaweed things on the top. It kind of looks like a boat, but, if you just go to a tofu nigiri, it's one of those little thingies that you'll find at, most sushi places. I had those, and yeah, after that point, I was like, okay, this is gross, this is wrong, I'm gonna go vegan. So yeah, if someone would have said that, I'm not a real vegan because I waited 6 months to do it, okay, well, I'm vegan now. I had to do this all by myself. I had active resistance from family close to me. It told me if I died because of my stupid decision, they weren't going to call an ambulance and help. I had quite a bit of people asking me a billion questions, asking me a bunch of stupid shit, always, testing limits and teasing me. I just didn't care. I was like, this is fundamentally right, and if I die for it because I'm stupid, then I'm stupid, and, I'm an idiot. But a decade later, I'm just annoying as fuck about it. Now I'm really good at nutrition because I learned a lot of this shit out of spite. That's what I went to school for, out of spite. And then when I transitioned into, I want to study philosophy, maybe I'll get a master's in that and everything else under the sun, then, now I'm just really annoyed about the semantics of this too. So, it's one of those things that just built on each other and became a key pivotal aspect in my label on how I identify myself. So, yeah. I don't support people going mostly plant-based. I don't believe in moving the goalpost out of the position of animal exploitation is wrong and it should be abolished. I think that we can encourage people to be vegan and tell them that every step along their way is important and that anything that they need to do to help get them over that finish line as they're figuring it out for themselves, there is innumerable resources and that they should do what they feel is most manageable for them at the time. at the time, and most manageable, two very important things, because some people might have things that we aren't aware of. People could be battling eating disorders, people could be doing X and Y and Z, and that's not to make excuses for animal exploitation. That's just the reality of the situation. I'm never saying that we should be okay with somebody who is refusing to be vegan because of X and Y and Z position. I'm saying that we could acknowledge that somebody would want to, and excluding all these other things, the way in which she's framing the go vegan except for cheese, it's that don't go vegan except for cheese. It's go as far as vegan as you can, and when you hit the hurdle of dealing with cheese, reach out and try to find some alternatives that work best for you. In the interim, in that time, keep working towards it and try to find if you can find a suitable solution. If not, don't stop at just one thing. Just don't claim to be vegan. I'm mostly plant-based, or I am mostly plant-based. I'm working towards veganism. I just really need to find a good cheese replacement. Maybe that'll encourage more people to put you in that position. If somebody says that, oh well, you're doing this, you're awful, you're this and that. I mean, you're not calling yourself vegan. You're not going to inflate yourself with veganism. You're certainly not going to get many laudable little pats on the back from me for not being vegan, but I can say, oh, okay, well, if you haven't tried these, try these. If there have any questions, do let me know. I would be very interested in being helpful. Or, other vegans and plant-based groups, or any areas or places where people have a specific niche in whatever you're struggling with. Maybe you get some insight there and gradually put them in there as your budget and everything else would plan for, and then maybe you can go on going closer towards it and saying, okay, well, I have cheese with every single meal. I don't think I would want to have it for every single meal. Let me try 2 of these with vegan replacements, and, blah, 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 blah. If I just quit buying it, then, there we go, and blah, 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 blah. Something as insignificant as cheese, in my opinion, which, I could say insignificant because even growing up, I didn't really like grilled cheeses or cheese and toast. I didn't necessarily like anything other than like Velveeta with like shells and cheese. Didn't like cheese on pizza. I didn't really like it because it was like stringy, or like the kind that you like sprinkle on and then it's not really done all the way on the top of the pizza. I didn't really care for it. So I was never a big cheese guy to begin with. So I don't understand the allure behind it. I don't like sour cream either, or like any kind of vegan cheese other than like cheddar or the stuff that goes in like my shells and cheese or anything else. So but yeah, I mean, I certainly don't think that we should be advocating that somebody only go for a reductionist. It's that remind people that they should be doing as much as they can to do that, and that there are resources available to them ad infinitum. Consuming traditional sugar, even if there's a chance it might be filtered with bone char. No. I mean, no. The bone char one, I haven't heard that one in a while, actually. Yeah. Yeah, and actually that's been a litmus test for like every relationship that I've been in. I kind of learned my lesson one time. I went vegan, and then, well, was that around the time? No, okay, yeah, 'cause it was like 18. Yeah, so I was vegan, and then they started to slowly gravitate towards vegetarian, and then they were vegan. Or no, actually, I went vegan, they were vegetarian, went vegan, still vegan, great. Then next, I was vegan, they were vegetarian for a while, they went vegan, we broke up, they're non-vegan. Next, we met in an unapologetic vegans group. They were vegan, I'm vegan, we broke up, they're still vegan. Another one used to be vegetarian, stuff happened. Now they're going into being vegan. It's a long transition, but it's constantly just, hey, by the way, I've been able to drop this. Hey, by the way, I've been able to drop this. Hey, really huge news. I think, I'm finally getting past this. And it's a lot of little wins, which make me very happy to hear. It's like, I'm not doing this alone. And, once things really kind of go in a path of, well, yeah, at this point I'm fully vegan, and I don't have to worry about X and Y and Z, and I'm not going to be someone that exploits animals, and it's like, okay, well, great, we just get expanded eternity together. That's awesome. I'm very excited. So it's certainly the thing where I wouldn't marry somebody who isn't vegan, because I think of marriage, I think of, okay, we're going to raise children together. I think that if we have conflicting parent values might be confusing to the children that we decide to raise together, and I don't want them to hear that from one of us it's okay to do one thing, from the other then it's not okay to do something, and then be at odds with picking a parent you like the most. I don't think that's really responsible. So it's one of those things that it's contingent on that, but it's like, oh yay, once we're together for forever and going through that as well. But yeah, certainly might be contentious. I think that insofar that having a non-vegan boyfriend, you won't catch any flack from me. We're in the same boat, Shug. So whatever. You're being manipulated by the dairy meat industry. Yeah, because they put billions of billions of dollars into it.
I remember hearing some crazy fact in one of my advertising classes in college about how many ads we're exposed to every single day. It's in the thousands. And that was before social media was like really big.
Yeah.
Now, out of those thousands of ads, think about how many of them have meat products and dairy products. That's going through your subconscious mind. You are being targeted and sold to and lied to and manipulated, and you don't even realize it. The meat and dairy industry has a hold on you and your wallet and your family, and you're just going along with it. I remember
that little shrug is like, yeah, whatever. Great. There are no vegans. There are only people who aren't hungry enough. What a dumbass. Alright. Before apple slices. We'll do this one. Okay. Rating your vegan Taco Bell orders. Mine's awful. You want to hear it? 8 bean burritos fresco. 8 hard shell tacos, sub beef to bean fresco. Or if I'm in a pinch and I'm at work, then it'll be 1 Lux box, and it'll be the crunch wrap bean burrito fresco, and then it'll be a bean burrito fresco, and then I get the cinnamon twists, and then I get a large Baja Blast. And that's my Lux box order. I make sure that there is none of that cheese on it, that it's the black bean one, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
This is rating.
Stop ordering combo meals at Taco Bell. You're wasting money.
Stop ordering combo meals at Taco Bell. You're wasting your money. Do this instead. Download the mobile app. Click on online exclusive.
Luxbox online craving box, $5.
Then click on the Lux Cravings box. Choose your specialty item.
You can get your Crunchwrap Black Bean Fresco. You can get a Bean Burrito Fresco. You can get your Cinnamon Twist and a large for only 10 cents extra.
Your regular item, your side, and your drink. You can customize all of these things to be vegan. It starts at $6.49 at my location. Prices do vary by location.
It's cheaper because I live in Akron and it's poor as fuck here.
And it's available exclusively on the mobile app. You're going to save so much money.
Yeah, if you eat a lot of Taco Bell, you will. I have Taco Bell probably once a month because it's a Chipotle, and I prefer to get Chipotle. But if I'm already out and about, taking a walk, clearing my mind, trying to figure out some stuff for what I'm doing, for sure.
And all those people were saying plant-based meat is the future. Like, the fuck it is. It's really bad for you.
It's not. But I mean, I get that you have a vested interest to say that, Joe.
Not.
You know what's really bad for you? Eating dead animals.
Agree.
And all those.
In the vegan movement, there's this whole us versus them mentality.
For a good reason.
But the truth is, if we just stopped being such this exclusive members-only club and were welcoming to people, even if they didn't want to go 100% vegan, there would probably be a whole lot more vegans.
Maggie, I've grown very fond of your content over our shared love for all things that is whimsical in food nature, aligning with our star signs. I've enjoyed the content around your Taco Bell hacks and some of the reviews for foods I find interesting, so I'll be much more polite with this. Yes. Now, let me put it out like this. If I had a club that says, boys only boys allowed, and then someone said, well, I'm a girl and I'm going to join, and I said, well, do you identify as a boy? That's fine if you do. No, I'm a girl. I identify as a girl. I'm joining the boys club. Okay. We'll have more members in our club if we just let anybody in without even following the criteria. It just happens to be the case. And if someone wants to say, oh, well, boys, girls, you can't delineate, that's a gender-based thing, it's a gender, it's a social construct, da-da-da-da. So is veganism. Veganism is a social construct. Okay? It still stands that for members to be allowed on a basis of membership access by meeting the criteria of membership, by not adhering to specific labels, and by just being more lax with what you allow in, if you don't have a restriction on the membership, then the membership becomes worthless. Because, again, if you're just saying that, well, anyone can just join, but we want this to mostly be vegans, that's like saying that, oh, yeah, I'm a hunter, and I'm in an online vegan Facebook group. If they say that, oh, we have 100,000 active vegan members. No, if there's like 20 vegans and like 999,980 hunters that aren't vegan and will never be vegan, it's not really that many vegans in the group. You might as well just bot followers, and it's not really the case. So it's just that, yes, there would be more vegans if we just let people who weren't actually vegans say that they're vegans, but that's not the case. Again, identity is important because of the things that we talked about earlier. So I hope you understand why there's discomfort around drawing the necessary bridge and gatekeeping, as I know that's a big buzzword here, the adherence to that label. And obviously people can be, the same like that old lady that told that girl she wasn't Christian for pissing outside of the car. You can certainly be X and Y and Z, and people will draw different lines, but when it's very clearly laid out, and there's not really much room for interpretation other than practical and possible, then if you're not someone who believes in vegan values and participates through your actions in veganism, just don't claim to be vegan. Claim to be plant-based. Just don't say you're vegan. That's it.
When people talk about veganism, usually the question is, what can't you eat?
I won't eat dead animals. That's another thing, too, that I do. It's like language semantics. Everyone's like, oh, well, your diet doesn't let you do that. And shout out to my boss. He's heard me say this to so many people, he dings them on it before I do. He's like, well, I know your diet's kind of weird. He goes, no, it's not. Don't say that. It's not a diet. It's a way of life. And I'm like, thank you. Because, yes, every time someone says that, well, I can't do that because of your diet, to stop dead in the tracks. And just like when someone calls me the name that's not my name, someone's like, oh, hey, Damien. It's Damon. Well, sorry, you're sensitive. It's my name. Thank you. Anyway, just immediately. It's like a visceral reaction. It's just, no, it's Damon. And then I continue on just regularly. But yeah, it's like when someone's like, well, your diet says that this. I'm like, well, it's not a diet. It's a philosophical position on life. And it gets under their skin. I'm like, well, but it has dietary implications. I'm like, yes, the way of life that I have is a diet. But you don't say that someone's following the Muslim diet because they don't eat pork. They don't eat pork because they're Muslim. I don't eat dead animals because my philosophical position of life extends the moral consideration to sentient beings like animals. So, no. Yeah, it's not what can't you eat. This is what I won't eat.
It's about restriction and elimination and not being able to participate or eat certain foods. But in reality, I have gained more than I've lost by going vegan.
Gained a new perspective of life and lost a bunch of things that were bad for you? Is that where this is going?
And I'm not even going to get into, the spiritual and all of those other, the vibration and all of those.
We're in agreement there. I don't like this conversation either. I understand why some people have those positions, and I don't disagree with them entirely. I just don't necessarily equate them to being more energetically aligned. And actually, I have a video on Jen Peets I should finish, who's now some anti-vegan fucking charlatan grifter girl. So yeah.
Those things, but it has expanded the foods that I eat.
Yeah, substitutions are pretty great. I would have never really liked jackfruit pulled pork until I made it 1,000 times my freshman year of college. And then anytime I see jackfruit on a menu, I'm just pleasantly surprised that when it's good, anything other than a fake pulled pork replacement. It's really fucking yummy. I genuinely enjoy jackfruit because of it. So thank you, veganism.
Before I went vegan, my diet was pretty basic. And since going vegan, I have eaten probably every vegetable out there.
I don't know. Have you had an up dog?
Not actually, but you know what I mean.
Fair enough.
And I mean, not just fruits and vegetables, but nutritional yeast and flax and things like that just weren't really on my radar before I went vegan. I encourage you, if you are trying to go vegan, instead of thinking about it as this restricting diet, think about it as an exploration.
An exploration, and no, I'm not doing it 2000.
As an adventure, as something to challenge you to try new things.
No, I'm good, but thank you though. Very nice insight. I know you. Vegan, which? Veganism is extreme. Okay, I think we'll actually agree on this one.
Veganism is extreme. Oh, really? You know what's actually extreme? Factory farming animals, slaughtering them, cutting them up into pieces that then look nothing like that original animal, and putting it into packaging, and then selling it to you like it's healthy for you when it's not. It's actually just a dead animal, and it's being sold to you and marketed to you like food. But eating beans, eating rice.
I would hate to eat rice and tofu and fried onions and garlic with hot sauce. Ugh. That's extreme, you guys. Fuck that.
Eating a carrot, that's
You said the C word? Chachi just said the C word.
extreme. Vegan.
Yeah, no, for sure. Why people quit being vegan? I want to hear this.
Okay,
Also, your bangs look very nice in this video.
here's why people quit veganism. It's not because they miss cheese. It's either because they're under eating. So when you go plant-based, you usually have to eat a lot more and make sure you're getting some of those higher protein,
Higher satiety foods, ?
high fiber foods to feel full. Or poor planning, like you're traveling, you go to a social event and you just don't plan ahead.
Happens, but again, if you are someone who's not sober and you can say, give me 3 beers, the give me 3 beer strategy works for you who do consume alcohol. If you don't consume alcohol, sparkling waters are great for holding you over. If they don't have sparkling water, cranberry juice. If they don't have cranberry juice, pop. You just have like a Pepsi. If they don't have pop, fries. If they don't have fries, get the fuck out. Like, oh, there's nothing for me here. All right, that's rough.
So you end up just going back to your old ways, or their why just wasn't strong enough. Like,
no, I've heard quite a fair few different ones, and I'm disappointed by all of them, obviously. But some of the excuses I've heard are just outlandish.
Maybe they didn't go vegan for the animals, and so it's a little...
Yeah, and that's why I'm always hesitant to really put a lot of stock into, oh, I went vegan because of you. Like, one, don't put that kind of pressure on me. Like, I'm never gonna crack. I've not faltered once in 10 years. I don't think I'd falter once in 100 years. But, now at this point, I'm very good at, aside from like on the fly random parallels under some specific certain scenarios, if someone has a question about X and Y and Z or how I deal with this, I have a really good issuance of things, especially conversationally, because like in here I can sort of like not gauge what the general audience reaction would be. But some people may be like, oh, well, how do you think about like vegans who compare it to the Holocaust? I might say that I understand the contention that people have against that, and I don't like to make that comparison, though you can probably see the similarities between the two and draw from the reduction that those are egregious, awful, and terrible things, right? And, go based off of what they present to me and speak honestly and openly with them about it, and, kind of have that conversationally. And, it's just that when I hear like, oh, I did it for you, it's like, I hope you're not doing that to seek like any form of approval from me, or like to use that as like a way to get closer. I'm especially apprehensive after hearing that and then seeing somebody go back directly. I'm like, ah, man, said you were a lifer. You got me. I was fooled. Shucks. Understandable. But yeah, definitely interesting to say the least.
Easier to go back to the old ways if you don't have that compassion piece, if you're not doing it for an ethical reason.
Yeah, it shouldn't say should, but
I say a lot. I edit it out a good bit, but I'm going to leave that one in there just so you guys know. I have to edit a lot, and usually it's either I flub a word twice in a row and I feel a little silly and I don't catch it, or I said, quite a fair bit. But it's certainly, to me, that the animals are the reason why I'm vegan. And if it was some such thing where people are like, well, I'm only vegan because they don't make me live 10 years longer, to me it feels good for the animals that they're not being harmed. To me, it wouldn't sit right in my soul that I wouldn't be cognizant or putting my attention towards caring towards their plight. That's where I'm at, because I know people are like, well, I'm an environmentalist, I'm vegan for the environment. I don't see how that's possible, because what if there's some such way that we make animal exploitation somehow possibly environmentally sustainable long term, in a mass scale for everybody? Well, then what? Then you just aren't vegan, and then the whole blah 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 falls through. It's like the only practical application I see to long-term adherence to veganism is to place the stress on the fact that these beings are being exploited ad infinitum by a system that allows that to happen, and we need the abolition of that system to happen to ensure that it does not happen. That's where I think the ethical concerns for the advent of animal rights and the abolition of the empire of animal exploitation, like the titans that be that preside over the world and pull the strings and allow animals and other sentient beings to suffer to such an unfathomable degree, should be addressed. The titans that be that cause this wanton disregard for the well-being of sentient beings is crazy to me.
I'm determined to help you go and stay vegan. I put together a vegan starter kit. It doesn't have any animal rights stuff. It's all about
different strokes for different folks.
The food. I've got a sample grocery list as well as a little nutrition info.
I'd be very interested to see that, Maggie. As someone that's spent a good bit of time academically in studying nutrition and dietetics, I'm sure it's got all the bases covered, and I just think it'd be pretty neat.
And a 4-week transition plan.
Link is in your bio. Okay, let me go to your bio. Let me check the link in bio. Probably the first time I'll actually be happy to click a link in bio. Damn, girl. Okay, you got the fucking... you got the... Okay, you got the sponsor deals. Okay, anyway. Back to it. Very impressive bio assortment of sponsorships and affiliates. Go you rock. If you're new to veganism, let's see it.
If you're new to veganism, I put together a 13-page starter kit with...
That's the same thing we just saw.
I am so sick of not only the vegan police...
Freeze! Vegan police! You're under arrest for veganity violation. No vegan diet, no vegan powers!
Anyway.
But the health police. I am well aware that Burger King and Taco Bell aren't healthy for you.
Yeah, the people that make that argument, shut the fuck up, okay? I don't care if someone eats the shittiest fucking food in the world. And I mean that genuinely, right? Like, I'm not here to police people's bodies. If someone wants to be overweight and they don't mind that the society as a large is going to fat shame them, and they just want to live their life like that, they're going to do that. They're going to live their life. If someone's going to be rail thin and they want to look like that, everyone's going to be like, well, you should in that case. If you're not going to do it in one case, you should not do it in the other. If someone's reaching out to you and actively seeking help, or if someone is in such a predicament because of this and they're reaching out for help, then you should speak up on it. We're voicing our concern. You should speak to a trusted adult. But the same way you wouldn't do that to somebody if they were obese and overweight and you say that, oh, this is concerning to you, you shouldn't do it. If someone's, I'm fainting a lot, I'm really tired, or I'm like, oh, you're not well. Okay, that sounds very alarming. It's, there's a lot of resources for you. But I'm not going to go out of my way to comment on somebody's body because I don't know what they're going through. They might be this might be the first day that they've gone from, inpatient care to being an outpatient, and maybe they think like, oh, well, I'm thin again, so I guess it's fine. Like, I'm being perceived as skinny, or somebody might be 600 pounds. 600 pounds, that's a little much, but like, somebody might be 390 pounds at like fucking 6'4", and I might just be like, oh, or blah 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 blah, or more realistically, like 310 pounds at like 5'7" or 5'8", and it's like, whoa, okay, I'm not gonna make a comment on that. They could be losing weight currently for a gastric bypass surgery. They don't want to be shamed. That might put them back into a spiral. I'm not gonna comment on their body. Why? Because it's none of my fucking business. All right. So people are like, this is unhealthy. You shouldn't promote this slop. Shut the fuck up. Shut it. All right. If you do that, you're a fucking loser.
You.
Unless somebody's making a claim that this food is healthy and you should eat it, to which you should rightfully retort, you should consume it in moderation and be more mindful of the things that you promote online. It's certainly not the case that that is the most beneficial thing for everybody. Should be a little bit of a nuance to those things.
People don't eat fast food to be healthy. They eat it because it's cheap, it's nostalgic, it's convenient and quick, and a variety of other reasons. True. Yes, I'm aware that it is bad for you.
True and true.
And I eat mostly whole food plant-based these days.
Nice.
Very little sugar.
Better than me, I love pop.
Very little additives.
Better than me, I do love my yummy little snacks.
But you know what? Most of the country does not.
Yeah.
And I wish these companies didn't add 1,000 ingredients into a freaking hamburger bun or into French fries or whatever. Like, yeah, that would be ideal.
The ones that aren't are very expensive, and that's a restrictive cost for quite a bit of people.
I wish that vegetables weren't sprayed with 1,000 million chemicals, but you know what? That's the reality. So just stop judging people for eating.
Yeah, don't judge people for having a tasty little treat. Maggie, we agree on that.
Fast food. Stop judging people for eating.
As long as it's not dead animals. Yes, stop judging people for eating. If you think their food looks fucking gross, shut up. Okay? And this is just a peripheral tangent that I'm gotta get to speak on here, because this is the thing that bothers me, right? I don't know how many fucking disgusting looking things on somebody's story that they've cooked. And you know what? If I know it's vegan, I'll heart react it. Why? Because to them, if they made it with purpose. And they put effort into it. And those little things you can't recreate. And those little things mean a lot to them. And they're very proud of it. Let them feel their fleeting sense of pride. Let them feel the joy of sharing something that they're delighted in with other people. Because you know what? If someone's like, oh, man, I worked really, really hard on this, I'm going to share it online, and everyone shits on it and makes them feel bad, then they might not want to share it, and they might squash their passion. Let a professional chef critique it for them and give them constructive criticism. But just shitting on things is fucking stupid in that context. I will shit on a lot of dumb things like animal exploitation, bad takes on veganism, and everything under the sun. But people really do go out of their way to share things that they're proud of, and I can't think of anything that's more akin to like a sad gif of like Stitch crying in the corner, or like looking very sad and like defeated and somber, than when someone's really excited for something and everyone just shits on it. That's stupid. Shut the fuck up, okay? Stop judging people for posting their shitty food pics. Just like it, be supportive, be kind to it, and then move on. As long as it's not dead animals. If it's dead animals, fuck that shit. That goes out the window. Fuck your pride. Go make something vegan. I will stand by that. But yeah.
Stop judging people, period.
No, you should judge people for when judgment calls. People should be judged for actions that are done to the detriment of the well-being to society. We shouldn't just not judge people because it makes people uncomfortable. There are some things that should face some amount of scrutiny. I've said this in the other video, I'll die on this hill. If someone's promoting killing deers with bows and arrows, we would certainly judge them as vegans, right? We would judge hunters. It's certainly not to the chagrin of, oh, well, what if they need to do it to eat? Blah, 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 blah. If you're glorifying your kill publicly online, it's probably not that you're doing that just to eat. And people that say, well, I would be able to fill my meat and this and that. It's so expensive. No, I don't buy it. Shut the fuck up. And I know that's a contentious point because apparently suddenly everybody knows somebody that's only in those such positions. But it's like, no, dude, I've been in poverty for well over half of my fucking life, vegan, non-vegan alike. There's been times where I've had to fucking stack quarters together on more than one occasion to get a single meal with my multivitamins and a little $1.07 because of the sugar tax in Ohio liter of pop, and had to survive off of that for quite a many days until I got my next paycheck, because everything just eats up all your money when you're a poor, broke college student. So yeah, there's certainly been times where it's like, well, the food options here are pretty scarce. I don't really have many options. I'll just stick with it and go through it, and so be it. You know, when it comes to poverty, you don't have very many choices, but you can still be vegan in poverty. Okay? And for people who are like, you don't know real poverty, it's like, buddy, did you grow up in a double-wide trailer out in the middle of the sticks where there's only one fucking grocery store within a mile radius and you can't drive anywhere? Okay, certainly. If you had no money in your bank account until you finally got a job, and then all that money went towards basic necessities like a meager amount of food, scraping together enough money by working an extra shift just to pay for your gym membership for the month, and you're like, oh, well, you're going to the gym, there's an external blah, 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 blah. You're not really struggling if you go to the gym. It's the only break I had. It was that or go through 4chan. Like, sorry for having one little joy in my life. Sorry for having one little activity I can engage in. I guess I'm not poor enough because I prioritized going to the gym for fitness and well-being, despite the fact that I'm oh so poor. Sorry poor people aren't allowed to have anything. But yeah, no, poverty certainly does restrict choices, but you can still be vegan in poverty. I will die on that hill because I fucking lived through it way too long for people to tell me otherwise. Oh, this is the Peter Singer mode.
I could go vegan except for when I travel.
Peter Singer.
Then go vegan except...
No, don't go vegan except for when you travel. Just stay vegan and then find vegan solutions where you're going. I went to Leipzig, Germany. A lot of vegan stuff there. A lot of accidentally vegan stuff there. Vegan schnitzel there is fucking awesome. Vegan cold cuts are there. They're fucking awesome. A lot of the bread there is accidentally vegan, which is fucking sweet. In Cranfield in the United Kingdom, everything was vegan there. Go Danny. Love you to death. You're the best. Nottingham, same boat. Danny, thank you so much. You're the best. Every single time I'm there, there's always vegan meals. There's always vegan food. There's always a fucking ton of vegan everything. Airports are a little bit more difficult, but snacks and vending machines exist, and as well as some places in the airport. In Poland, in the airports, there was little vegan pierogies, which are fucking awesome, which was great. In Reykjavik, there was restaurants in the airports where things were vegan. It was fucking awesome, and it was great. And everything in that town, there's a lot of vegan options as well. So, yeah, no, there's like a lot.
For when you travel. Eat plant-based at home, and then when you travel, eat whatever you usually eat.
No, don't continue to exploit animals just because you're in a different geographical location. That's ridiculous.
And by doing this, you're probably going to start to eat more vegan food when you're traveling as well.
I don't advocate for the consumption of animal products.
Because you'll realize how the non-vegan food makes you feel.
I don't agree with that.
And you're just going to start learning what options are out. It's way easier than you think, I promise.
It's very easy, but you still don't need to advocate for the suffering and death of animals just so people can learn a lesson. You know, it's like a smart man learns from his mistakes, and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others, right? So it's just like, yeah, don't do that. It could give you all these problems, and there's a ton of other ways in which you could avoid that by just consuming to eat vegan foods. And there's some of these vegan foods that are culturally relevant over there. Easy. Easy peasy. Pretty for a vegan is wild.
One time I was at the dentist getting my teeth clean, and it just came up that I was vegan, as it usually does, just because that's a huge part of who I am.
Yeah, actually, I have a picture somewhere of me and Seth Feroci, and I was wearing like a vegan shirt or something, and then I got like something for Axe and Sledge, so I put the Axe and Sledge shirt on. He was like, "Oh, wow, you're vegan? Oh, you got a lot of muscle for a vegan." And at the time, I was like super into Seth Feroci and like all of his like fucking, I'm going to be transparent about my steroid use stuff. And I was like, wow, I also am. That's great that people are speaking out like that, especially at your level and your caliber, and you're all, you know, the demo crew, hard work and like going ham. I unfollowed him because he made a whole thing about like using a bear's dick as a coffee stirrer, and I just thought that was a little egregious. And he was like, "Oh, you know, I'm respecting the animal." I'm like, I'm making a joke about taking his dick and stirring your coffee with it, dude. Like, I can't do that. But no, like, yeah, when people get like you're X for a vegan, I'm like, I understand it's supposed to be a compliment, but that's rude.
And she said to me, "But you're really pretty."
But you're really pretty. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have like, I don't know, really yucky hair and like a bandana, and I smell bad, and I'm like gross and grimy. But no, yeah, I'd also agree with her. You're very pretty.
You're pretty for a vegan. And
You're pretty for a vegan is fucking hilarious.
I was like, do people think vegans are ugly? Or like, what?
No, people just generally form like stereotypes, I guess. I don't know. Like a big thing online. I've archived a lot of my older posts because I was just a shirtless douchebag in a lot of them. But it was like the norm that like vegans were like didn't get enough protein and really tiny. And then, you know, you have me who's like short as fuck, by the way. I'm only 5'6.5", and I'm like, I'm not even 5'7". I have like poofy hair, and you know, at the time it's like I am 143, 147, anywhere from 8 to 9% body fat. Not through body calipers, not through bod pod. Bod pod and body calipers is much lower through like machine scans, 8 to 9%. Body mass, like fat free mass, less than 10%. Jacked, vascular as fuck. 19-inch arms on a tiny like fucking 31-inch waist. Like vegan, so I look very muscular for how short I am. It's just like, holy fuck, like you're jacked for vegan. It's like, I understand the stereotype you have in your head. It's like, I have to be some girl that does like yoga, Pilates, like, I don't know, goat yoga, or be like this huge hippie. And then, you know, you see some of the memes I've liked, or, you know, you bring up something about like an old 4chan read, and I'm like, oh, Habbo Hotel and all these other things. Fuck, yeah, no. Scientology raids. I used to be around in like the summer of 11 and everything else, with the new friend face and everything going rampant, and all the epic breads at the time. And it's like, yeah, you're not really what we expect. And I'm like, no, I was kind of forged in like the weirdest depths of the internet. Veganism logically made sense to me because I don't agree with it. So I think people kind of straw man us into stereotypes.
Like, what? I did not understand. And then my mom said that she had a similar experience where someone was like, but you look so vibrant for being vegan.
You don't have those hollow, dead eyes and eye bags and a recessed chin for being a vegan.
Yeah, we look good. Like, I don't understand.
Vegan except for eating out with friends? Couldn't be me. It's everyone's problem that I exist. They're like, you're the fucking problem. What do you want to eat? You're the one with the restrictions here, buddy. And I'm like, I mean, I'm down with whatever. You guys know me. You know, a couple years ago, 3 beers rule. Nowadays, it's like, no, dude, I don't give a fuck. Like, they got Dr. Pepper. They got Dr. Pepper and fries. I'm fucking good. No, I'd like to go to a place where you have more than just that. I'm like, okay, sick, yeah. Well, there's no all vegan restaurants around us, so whatever place has the most vegan options, I'm gonna look that up, and if they got like 2 good things, I'm in. And then we usually just go to some place that has like fucking like Middle Eastern food, or like some amount of like Chinese food. Because a lot of that just happens to be vegan if you just forego the fish sauce, and then we go. It's great.
Go vegan except for when I eat out with friends. Then eat vegan food, eat a plant-based diet at home, and then when you go out to eat whatever you usually eat. You don't have to go vegan all at once.
In my opinion, what I would say is tell people that you're currently working on transitioning into veganism, and then let them know that. Be like, yeah, currently this is what I'm doing at home, and you know, it's getting pretty difficult to hang out with you guys because this is all you really want. And then you're also going to learn just how to stick up for yourself and your values, because like, even if your close friends are going to give you pushback, like, oh yeah, I'd give that a week. Oh yeah, I don't think you could do it. You could never. Then you can take it as a sort of like challenge, right? Instead of like being defeated and be like, oh, they're right. Who am I? It's just like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna do this out of spite. And you do it really well. I'm like, nope, remember last year you said I couldn't do this? Yeah, it's been a year. Then 10 years later, you're like, yeah, think I couldn't do this for a year? Think I'm gonna shrivel up and die? Still kicking. You know, do it out of spite. Everything you do out of spite will be done expertly well. So, yeah, I don't agree with advocating for animals to be harmed, but I certainly do think that there's ways you could gauge it, where you're like, hey, yeah, so like right now my diet's mostly plant-based. It's going to get pretty difficult to figure out what we do, so I'm giving you guys a heads up. You know, if they give any pushback or flack, like, all right, I'll plan some shit out, or like I'll find a way to meet you guys in the middle and find a way that doesn't compromise everything that I'm doing. You can work around things very softly, or you can just be very blunt and be like, dude, now I'm vegan now, like I don't know about all that, like I'll meet you out somewhere, we'll do something, but like if we just have to get food to go out, no can do. Like that's just the way it has to be.
And you might realize that when you eat out, it just makes you feel disgusting eating animals.
It's the same point from earlier. It's just, you'll feel gross and you quit doing it. Oh, that's also not vegan. It's the Impossible Whopper. This is probably one thing I'll actually have to like talk about. So Impossible is not vegan. They don't make vegan products. They don't care about vegans at all. I think I have a video about this. Oh, it's actually my first video on veganism. Go watch that if you haven't understood it. They're not vegan. They don't care about vegans. They just want vegan money. They go to reductions and everything else. But they'll put plant-based products into animal products together to sell more animal products. So, no. Impossible is not vegan. Don't ever support Impossible.
Just because something is unhealthy doesn't mean it's not vegan.
Wait, what? Just because something is unhealthy doesn't mean it isn't vegan. Yeah, no. Pepsi and Oreos are vegan, but not a good diet to live on. I'll drink to that, Jenny Dyron. Do love me some Pepsi and some White Monster. It's great. Must be was vegan too. Yeah, except for like some Guinnesses, for sure.
A lot of people out there assume that vegan equals healthy.
Yeah, unfortunately so. They're like, well, you eat mostly plants, right? It's like, yeah, but like sugar cane is a plant, so sugar is vegan. Except, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, it's actually filtered with bone char. I mean, some, yeah, for sure. Not all of it.
But that's not how it works. Vegan just means no animal products.
Or animal byproducts.
That's it. French fries?
Mostly vegan.
Vegan.
Mostly vegan.
I could go
99.9% of French fries.
Oreos?
Vegan, but I don't like Oreos. I had too many as a kid watching any movie marathon. I threw up. I like duplexes or vanilla Oreos. I don't know why. I can name other forms of like chocolate biscuit with cream cookies. Just Oreos themselves vex my tummy, and I can't do tummy aches.
Vegan. Deep fried, ultra processed, high sugar snacks?
Vegan. And God bless them.
If there's no animal products in the ingredients, vegan. You can eat vegan for the animals.
Yes. You can be vegan for the animals and have a whole foods plant-based diet or a junk food vegan diet as long as that's no minimum for the animals.
For the planet.
No, that does not logically follow.
For your health.
Also does not logically follow.
But those are all different choices. Sometimes you choose all three.
I personally couldn't care about the argument for health. And that's probably a little strange coming from somebody who, gone to school for all these things, does quite a bit in terms of the research into pharmacology, endocrinology, genetics, X, Y, and Z, L, P. Here's the thing. All else had constant, if it wasn't better for me and it was equal, I'd still be vegan because it's just the right thing to do. I'm not vegan because there's some benefit to me for it at all. And I would never argue that you should only do things that are a benefit directly to you. If something is a net neutral outcome for you and it has a lessening of the burden on the existence of other people, why not do that? Especially when it comes at no cost to you and there's no negative externalities to you for it. And same with the environmental argument. I made that earlier. I'm not going to do it again. But again, it doesn't equate. Because if it wasn't the best thing for the environment, which I can imagine some such scenario, but if there was some such scenario, you should still not exploit sentient beings unnecessarily and cause their indefinite suffering ad infinitum.
And you want to be a healthy vegan.
I would argue most people want to be healthy vegan. I don't think anybody would want to be an unhealthy vegan intentionally.
But you don't have to be a healthy vegan.
You don't have to. That's very true.
So yeah, something can be unhealthy and vegan at the same time.
Very true.
Don't confuse it.
Real. On that note, I think I'm going to stop. Hopefully this criticism is well met by the intended audience that intend to reach and just reaffirm your position. And that, yeah, it's totally fine. And people have things that people disagree with. Again, people might call me a fake vegan for dating someone who's vegetarian and transitioning into veganism. Okay. Again, I understand your criticism and X and Y and Z and L and P and how can you call yourself an abolitionist if X and Y and Z? Well, every reasonable part of the equation that I've interpreted is such that these changes that have happened and have occurred as a result of it have been permanent because of an intrinsic desire for justice and well-being, and saying that, well, if you really had justice and this and that, it's like, well, yeah, but instead of someone going back again, working for X and Y and Z causes, and making sure that we can get there safely and well, and not pry too much into things, for sure. I certainly don't let up and saying that, oh yeah, it would be totally fine if you just had a steak, if you just really needed it. Be like, no, I'll find you a suitable steak solution. I'll find you the thing that's most satiating around that, where it doesn't cause that. And hey, let's look for X and Y and Z and LMNOP that can help get you acclimated to the transition away from this non-vegan thing that you've grown accustomed and affixed to, and feel safe. And as we responsibly and reasonably work within that and find you a suitable substitution that you like, that you feel can do that, we've done that for a lot of things. Let's keep habituating change and get you comfortable with it, and allow that to be deterministically safe by enough exposure to the vegan edition that you definitively feel like this is comfortable. And then we work at that. For sure, you can say that I'm a piece of shit for that, and I can't really call myself a vegan. That's fine. I won't lose sleep over it. At the end of the day, it's the life path I've chosen, and life path, spiritual, fucking radical, dumbass, hippie, daemon, sure, whatever you want to call me, that's fine. I don't think we should ever have an eradication of shame or judgment. I should face some amount of judgment from people, my peers, my colleagues, whatever you want to call it, for having my choices. And yeah, I don't feel shame for it. And it's something where I'll just continue to advocate for animals and their well-being, and say that, hey, instead of saying that this is okay to do, argue that the transition period, which is necessary, can be shortened by outreach and getting help from others and finding things that suit you, but don't ever explicitly say that it's fine to exploit animals. That's my biggest contention. Don't approve of it. Just work with people to find it. If you say that, well, approving them and then making them feel heard and feel safe and X, Y, and Z could likely do that. But yeah, there's things that I feel like should be shamed socially by society. And animal exploitation and cruelty is one of them. So there you go. Hope you guys have learned something today or enjoyed my rambling. I am going to have some food, watch the rest of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, and then continue writing my book. And hopefully you guys will get that book before the end of the summer. I'm really excited to help get out these last couple dozens of pages, formulate everything, get it to an editor, and then see what we can do about when we can get a timeline for putting it out. I want it to be out before January of next year, for sure, to everybody. So, till then, take care, do well, go vegan, bye.